Have you ever wanted to see what a haunted house is like, but from the comfort of your own home? In this video, we're taking a whistle-stop tour through some of the most terrifying and mysterious places on Earth, from islands full of creepy dolls to forests full of disappearances. These are the 10 most haunted places in the world. Number 10. St. George's Church, Czech Republic. Loukowa is a sleepy village where little or nothing ever until a few years ago, when the whole world had its sights on its famous church. And the centre of Loukowa village is St. George's Church, which local Christians would flock to every Sunday. In 1968, the roof collapsed, and it's been abandoned ever since. None of the locals could afford to fix the damage that had been done. In 2012, a local resident decided to do something a bit different. He hired a local art student and got him to create plaster models of people and place them across the church. He then covered them with sheets and made them look like ghosts. These ghosts are supposed to represent the Sutton Germans, who once lived in this part of the Czech Republic, but were thrown out after World War II. The most likely moved into Germany, but these ghosts-like figures helped represent the people who once lived there. In this creepy exhibition, gained so much attention that they'd raised enough to fix this church and gained itself a brand new tourist attraction. This is an incredibly nice experiment, but we want to dig into places that are really haunted. Number 9. The Old Melbourne Jail, Australia. You would normally associate Australia as a warm country, but within these walls things get quite chilling. The Old Melbourne Jail has witnessed 133 executions and detained some of the most vicious and gruesome killers the country has ever seen. The institution was closed in the 1920s, so there's been no living inmate in the prison for 100 years. But if you go into cell 17, it's almost as if one of the inmates is still inside. The prison is open for tours, but tour guides have seen people leaving this cell flooded with tears. Apparently, they felt something gripping their throat and were unable to breathe. Others have claimed that they'd been scratched or had their clothes tugged on while inside. The reports also have a strange pattern. Men who have experienced strange occurrences feel like they're being pushed out of the cell, whereas women have felt like they're being dragged further in. And the strange thing is nobody knows why it's in this particular cell that's caused so much spine-tingling sensations. People have speculated that maybe a particularly nasty person used to live in this cell and has stayed here in the afterlife. Many have suggested that the executions led to many spirits never leaving the prison. The most vicious and notorious killer to be executed in this prison was Ned Kelly. He was a bush ranger and was known for killing several police officers and soldiers. Frederick Bailey Deeming was another infamous inmate as an Englishman living in Australia. His crimes were so despicable that many people believe that he was in fact Jack the Ripper, who fled London to move to Australia and continued his killing spree down under. And this may be a stretch, but the fact that Jack the Ripper only went after women, and this cell seems to be dragging women inside, may be more than a coincidence. Number 8. The Catacombs of Paris, France. When you visit Paris, you will probably take a glossy stroll past the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. But there's a dark and deeply unsettling side to the city, and not many people know about it. In this disturbing tour of Paris, we'll be taking a look at the Catacombs of Paris. In the 18th century, the city's cemeteries were crowded, so instead of building more graveyards, they designed an underground resting place for the remains of deceased Parisians. The underground building itself is weirdly encapsulating and a popular site for dark tourism, and in the 1990s, a group of people walking through noticed a video camera on the ground. So, they curiously picked up this camera. Nobody was around, and there was nowhere to hand it in. so they decided to see what was on it. On the tape, they saw blurry footage of someone in the catacombs, as well as some disturbing noises. They saw the terror on a man's face who wanted to get out of the place, but could not. The footage ends abruptly with the camera being dropped to the ground, almost 30 years on. Nobody knows whether this man has managed to get out alive. It's rumoured that he was inside the building after midnight, which is strongly warned against. This is apparently when the spirits come alive and the walls begin to speak. This could explain the disturbing noise is heard in the footage. It could also explain the madness he experienced too. Some say that his voice is now heard after midnight and he's become one of the spirits. Number 7. Hotunwan Village, Shengshan Island. In the 1980s, Hotunwan Village in China had 3,000 residents. By the 1990s, everyone had gone. It's not crystal clear why this village was abandoned. Many believe that it's just so remote and difficult to access that it just wasn't worth living there. Access to education, healthcare, and essential services was hard to come by, and as one family left, this meant it was more difficult for everyone to leave behind, and there was a domino effect of people gradually leaving, with little or no people left. However, in recent years, this abandoned village has undergone a bit of a renaissance. In the absence of humans, nature has flourished, and all of these abandoned houses have been covered in beautiful greenery. The village looks like something from a post-apocalyptic horror movie, and so the people who stayed within this village are now reaping the rewards as this abandoned village has ironically become a tourist hotspot. Number 6. Al Madam United Arab Emirates Ghost Town. Far away from the bright lights of Dubai and Abu Dhabi is an abandoned town. It's a village that the UAE Tourism Board doesn't want you or anyone else to visit. Rumours have circulated as something known as jinn were responsible for everyone leaving the town. A jinn is a nastier, evil spirit and Muslim culture. Some say that it was a series of jinns that forced residents out of the area. Others contend that it was a female jinn named Al-Duais, who's said to have cat eyes and mashits for hands and comes from Emirati folklore. When the Sharjah Art Foundation tried to settle this once and for all and found out why they left, they had more questions than answers. None of the residents who used to live there could be found. They wanted to dismiss the idea of evil spirits and believed that it was simply the sandstorms and fierce winds that drove everyone away, but the mystery lingers on. Number 5. Poveglia Island, Italy. Off the coast of northern Italy is Poveglia, an island that contains many secrets of Italy's dark past. In the 5th century, this was actually a palace of refuge. If Italy faced an invasion from its enemies, this island was a great place to hide. But in the 1300s and following the Black Death, it went from a place of refuge to a place of impending death. To help control the spread of this infectious disease, the infected, diseased and dying were shipped on this island. For many, they were thrown onto the island to die. Fast forward to the 1800s and things got even darker. This island soon became an insane asylum. At that time, mental illnesses were not given the same level of dignity that they were today, and people with these illnesses were simply transported to this island to keep them out of the way and brush them under the carpet. Since then, a series of paranormal activities have occurred on the island. The Venetian authorities wanted to redevelop the island, but cannot because they always experienced something strange every time they did. The people who were brought to this island and left to die are believed to still haunt this place today. Number 4. The Sallie House, Kansas. This house was originally owned by a doctor, but what started out as a doctor's surgery and home turned into something truly frightening. One day a woman rushed in with her daughter who was suffering from severe abdominal pain. The doctor believed that she had appendicitis and needed surgery right away, as it could soon burst. The surgery was sadly unsuccessful and she passed away, but the 6-year-old girl was in so much pain and in such a state of confusion and disarray that she did not know that the doctor was performing surgery on her. The anesthesia did not work properly, and she interpreted the doctor's work as him trying to torture her. So, ever since she's haunted this very house, sometimes fires would break out, sometimes the operating table would grow cold, and sometimes the doctor would feel abdominal pain of his own. They also noticed the dog angrily growling at a certain corner of the room, as if it felt a strange presence in the house. Trained guide dogs have even refused to enter the house. The house would never be the same again. Number 3. Fengdu Ghost City. And China is the city of ghosts, and one of the few haunted places on earth with a message. This city reveals the ancient law of karma that those who do good things will be rewarded, and those who do bad things will be punished. The city contains shrines, temples and monasteries dedicated to the dead. The place dates back thousands of years to the Han Dynasty, when 2 officials decided to run from civilization and live a bohemian lifestyle. It's believed that during this time they became immortal. The place contains images that represent good and evil. There are terrifying ghosts and demons that resemble what's coming to people who had led a bad life. The message is that those who live an immoral life will be punished in the afterlife, and horrible fate awaits them if they don't change their ways. The enormous face seen on the hill is known as the Ghost King, and it's the largest rock sculpture ever. According to Guinness World Records, the Ghost King, which was 138 meters high and around 217 meters broad, can be viewed from every part of the city. Number 2. Chateau de Brisac, France. Chateau de Brisac is the tallest castle in France and has one of the most chilling stories. It was owned by King Charles VII of France, who had a dark little secret. Charles was not always faithful to his, and had a mistress named Agnes Sorrow, and through his affair they had a daughter named Charlotte de Braise. But despite these circumstances, Charlotte was liked very much by the Queen of France, and upon reaching adulthood, she was set to marry a nobleman named Jacques de Braise. But in those days, marriage was less about love and more about cementing your status in society. Charlotte found herself in a loveless marriage with no way out on May 31st, 1477. Jacques was awoken in the middle of the night. His wife was not in his room, and he could hear noises from another room. In this room, he saw his wife having an affair. In a fit of rage, he murdered both of them there and then. Jacques had to move out of this castle soon after. He could still hear voices from the wife and her lover, voices which are still heard in this castle today. Charlotte has been spotted numerous times, rolling about the castle, and because of her green dress is today known as the Green Lady. Number 1. Sathorn Unique Tower. And Bangkok, Thailand, the Sathorn Unique, was meant to be a symbol of Thailand's prosperity. This huge building was supposed to house international and local businesses and further boost its booming economy. But in 1997, Thailand's economy went from boom to bust. The situation was so bad that they halted construction on this building, and nobody has worked on it ever since. It's now a 49-story ghost tower. Over the years, many myths and superstitions began to emanate. It's rumoured that this was built on an ancient burial ground. It was doomed to fail from the start, but things got too real in 2014, when the body of a Swedish backpacker was found on the 43rd floor, and it's believed that he took his own life. It's become a hotspot for urban explorers, but the Thai authorities are doing their best to make sure nobody wanders up this tower. Something incredibly sinister is going on, and it's unclear whether this is just limited to the 43rd floor. Thank you for joining us on this spine-chilling journey through the top 10 most haunted places in the world. We hope you enjoyed learning about the history and the supernatural phenomena surrounding these eerie locations. If you have any personal experiences or know of any other haunted places, please share them with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more hair-raising content. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes open for the unexplainable.